All right, thank you guys so much. All right, we're going to transition now to our next panel. Let's get loud, the sound of sport from fans to brands. Moderating this conversation will be Stagwell's creative advisor, Ben Lyons. So please join me in welcoming Senior Vice President of Commercial at Epidemic Sound, Frida Jones, Peloton fitness instructor, Jess King, and SVP Global Marketing and Research at Vivo, Julie Trilio.
All right. Thank you, Akbar. Thank you, Stagwell, for putting on Sport Beach 2024. Very excited to be back here at Cannes Lions, and this panel is called Let's Get Loud. So let's give a little energy to our panelists who are joining us here today for this conversation. Very much looking forward to talking about the sounds of sport. You know, when we go to our favorite sporting events, we obviously hear the music that's pumped in the arena, but there are the sounds of the game, which are so recognizable and provide so much inspiration. And Julie, I'd love to start with you. Just when did you fall in love with music, and how is it a part of your daily life?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, sort of, because I feel like ever since birth, you could fall in love with music. But I think, you know, it really is part of my daily life, particularly given the work that I do, which is so rewarding, working at Vivo and just watching culture unfold before our very eyes and having these moments of harmony with sports and with music. And so I think it's really fulfilling to see all of that come together. You know, big moments like Grammys and Super Bowl and all of these wonderful places where these two passion points come together and really create some meaningful fanhoods. But for me personally, I would say, you know, music videos have made an imprint on me for a very long time. Probably the very first video I ever saw was Free Fallin'. And so, yeah, so that's a really big one. Rock the Cradle of Love has like these nostalgic beats for me as well. The Christopher Walken, you know, Spike Jonze from Fatboy Slim. So there's just so many of these nostalgic moments paired with ways in which, you know, we see it so progressive now and news stories unfolding every single day in really provocative ways, but really meaningful ways. So it's been lovely to see the representation that exists on our platform, how that transcends boundaries and borders and kind of brings communities together.
Speaking of bringing communities together, many of you might recognize Jess from her work as a Peloton instructor, a very passionate community, obviously. And you're somebody who knows about inspiration and how to use music to motivate. So how do you incorporate sound into what you do as an instructor, and where do you see people find the most inspiration from a certain song?
I mean, music and movement go hand in hand. You hear music, you can't help but to move. And I feel like music is very much a personal escape for people, but what I find interesting is through that personal escape, sometimes you end up at a meeting place where other people are also looking to step away from how they feel in a day, turn on their favorite song, and move their bodies. And something so magical happens for yourself when you do that. But when you do that with a group of people, like we do at Peloton in our live classes, we come together, we turn the volume up, we start moving our bodies, and what feels shitty starts to shift. And something magical, something transformative, something chemical starts to change. And without that music, you're still racing around with the monkey mind. But with it, combined with the movement and the wisdom in the body, you truly are elevated and taken to a higher place, a higher vibration. And ultimately, that is my purpose, to lift people, to take them to higher vibration so that they can have more meaningful impact on the lives around them. So I definitely believe that music and movement are an intersection and an invitation, a meeting place to find community and what it is that you're looking for, which is to feel better, to lift yourself higher.
One of the things I love about coming back to Sport Beach is the sense of discovery, and that we all get to learn about everyone's different businesses and platforms. And Frida, I've been really enjoying researching you and your company and how you're able to really connect consumers with brands through music. Can you share a little bit more about the platform?
Yeah, so Epidemic Sound was founded in 2009 with a vision of soundtracking the internet, which sounds a bit interesting and funny now to listen to, but I think at this point, about 2.5 billion views a day at TikTok and YouTube is actually soundtracked with our music and our sounds. And I think the reason why we ended up there is because we are really passionate about connecting with the brands and the customers and truly understand the journey, where they're going, and how sound and music can really help them transform and get there. And I think by doing that as well, we can really support the consumer to understand what the brand is all about. I think having a consistent sound to break through is really important. So we do that either through having sort of local collaborations with artists or even soundtracking globally all of the music and sound across all platforms. So we really adapt and tailor, and I think that's really making a difference to our customers and brands.
We've got a very international crowd here, of course, and I always love speaking with my friends from overseas about their experience of going to NBA games, because oftentimes it feels like it's everything but the game. You're just assaulted with sound for 2.5 hours, as hopefully my Knicks can figure it out and continue winning. But talk to me a little bit about the connection between sports and music, how it builds community, and how it's something that we in America, at least, really come to expect from our live sporting experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to Jess's point, music really sort of elevates the experience. And so there's a fulfillment in when you feel like super pumped up and like with walk-up songs and like everyone tunes into the halftime show for Super Bowl. And I would say, the other thing that sort of has had a profound effect on me is just the visuals married to those experiences. So I hearken back to this spot that I actually consider to be like the 2014 World Cup anthem, and that is The Game Before the Game. If you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a while, I encourage you to check it out. It's the Neymar story, but it also has cameos from LeBron James and Nicki Minaj. And so it's really kind of this iconic experience of creativity, a human story, and then sport and music coming together, which is such a powerful sort of harmony coming all full circle.
You mentioned that the visuals, when paired with music, can cause great inspiration and emotional connection. Frida, that's what your platform is about, is empowering these creators who are going off and making the content that connects fans, brands, athletes, sports. So can you add a little bit to what Julie mentioned about the idea and the power of pairing music with visuals?
Yeah, I would say that we are a music/tech company, and the key here is to providing a broad range and deep genre with music and sounds, but enable the content creator to quickly find what they need and adapt it to their specific needs. And we do that by having an AI-driven platform where you can actually work, because I think key is to, all that we provide the music and sound, we want to really leave a creative element to the person producing the content that can really adapt. There's always a human element in the background. There's always been an artist that produced it. And then we leave a lot of creativity freedom to really adapt the sound and the music to whatever you want to tell your audience to really connect with the visuals.
And Jess, you're able to again inspire folks not only with music but also your words. There's a different type of sound that can also cause somebody who might be hitting a wall to take it over to over the top and work through it. So how do you kind of balance playing music but also telling people, let's go, pedal faster, like hurry up?
I think this is where my ADHD really shines, because I'm able to do like 4 to 5 things in a 30-second window when I'm coaching. But to 2 points. One, the musical discovery piece that you mentioned at Peloton, that's huge for us. There's loads of people who now know who Rufus' Soul is, know who Gorgon City is, know who Sophie Tucker is, go to their shows, tag me. I'm now friends with these artists because we've drawn so much attention, so many streams from that. And then I also love that at Peloton we do artist series. We have many years ago, well, not many years ago, but during the pandemic, I was sitting, I'm like, well, I need to go to a music festival. I was like, oh, we can create one at Peloton. And so that's what we did. And we created an all-for-one music festival, which is, your first ever of its kind virtual music festival where you can measure participation in wattage. It's pretty incredible. And partnering with artists to do that, to come together, because they understand that music and fitness, music and movement go hand in hand. And we do have such a hungry community who's eager to discover new music. And I don't take it lightly that I have a microphone in my hand and that our members are quite vulnerable in that moment when I'm like giving them this ridiculous cue and they're like, I can't do that. What am I going to say in that moment to ask a powerful question or do something that ignites the yes, I can in them? So when I came to Peloton, intuitively, I knew that I had, in all my relationships, I was like, oh, I can change them. I know what they need. But I was like, that's not landing, it's not working. How might I actually have the impact I want to have? So I became a certified life coach, and not just like a weekend seminar, like a 2-year certification program to truly understand how to create that container and really have the individual be empowered and in their own narrative. And me just offering these moments, these reminders, these truths that they already knew. But when you're moving and the music's happening, all of these feelings are elevating, the ability to have an impact and create a new chemical response in the brain is actually possible, and it happens. And I think that's why people keep coming back, especially to my classes, when they're ready to wake up to that, when they want to feel so alive in their body and in their spirit that they're ready, that's when they otherwise are like, I don't like you, to my face. I'm like, it's okay. One day you will.
Well, listen, when you talk about a coach using words to, send inspiration, it immediately takes me back to high school. I can still hear my coach in my head saying, you're a senior and you didn't get back on defense. Like, it's just embedded into my soul. And I look at it as motivation still to this day. And I love Frida talking with you earlier about all the sound effects and things you have available on your platform that aren't music related. We're going to find out a little bit later today during our cocktail hour that you guys are putting on about all the different kind of sounds on the platform. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. What we're doing with collaborating with a Norwegian company, a small tech startup called Soundly, who are passionate about sound, and it's absolutely amazing what you can do with sound effects today. You can actually pull it together and create your own track. And I think if you look at old school, you thought sound effects like someone closing a door or something like that. But I think now there's so much you can do with it. And you get to listen later on where we soundtrack sport, which I think is really, really fun and engaging. So I think sometimes it's easy to think sound effects something you add at the end and it doesn't make a difference. It can make all of the difference to your content if you do it right and really, really get through the emotion that you want to get through. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to you hearing when we soundtrack in sport later on.
Yeah, it should be fun. After our day of panels here, be sure to stick around this afternoon during open play, and you can hear all the sounds that you guys have in store for us. Julie, I'd love to continue our conversation we were having backstage about the resurgence of music videos. I grew up producing music videos. That was kind of the first thing I did as I embarked on my career, and so I have a love for them, appreciation for them. As a fan of artists and a fan of sports, I love seeing my favorite athletes pop up in music videos. But music videos are back. Talk to me about their relevancy in 2024.
Definitely back. In fact, we have over 900,000 of them on our platform. So definitely something for everyone. And I mean, to Jess's point too, I just feel like that story spoke so much about setting a tone. So there's really a music video for any mood that you're feeling, anything that, you want it to engage in and create a community around that. So I think that there's something really special about the resurgence there. As I mentioned, I also feel like the storytelling aspect is so unique, allowing these artists to, create their vision on screen. And sometimes it's a surprising reveal that you get from what their story was, and you didn't get that out of the song at all without those visuals. And so I think that there's also something really special there. And then, of course, we talked about the nostalgia piece. I could watch those videos from a long time ago over and over and over again, and I do constantly because it brings back so many visceral feelings, which is just generally, I think, what music does for us. And by the same token, love always seeing like the athlete cameos, the passion points overlapping. I feel like that is just becoming even more intertwined in our culture moving forward.
Jess, you are a true multi-hyphenate in addition to your work with Peloton. I know you're a DJ, and I know you've worked with So You Think You Can Dance, Cirque du Soleil. anybody who goes to Cirque du Soleil can tell those are some of the great athletes in the world. So your understanding of movement, the power of the human body, creativity, it all ties back to music for you. So tell me a little bit about your time working with Cirque and why we should really look at them as all of you as great athletes in addition to world-class performers.
Well, in my dressing room at Cirque du Soleil, I shared with the synchronized swimmers, and I think 7 of them had been to the Olympics. So really the circus becomes a place for these high-performance athletes who essentially season out of whatever their discipline is. Like, you hit the Olympics, where do you go from there? If you don't want to stop performing, you go to the circus. So that's where they all were. Incredible athletes. The music there was actually live every single night, so that was really incredible to be performing in water. I don't know if any of you ever saw Le Rêve at the Wynn. It's now closed. But music, and for me, was always this understanding that this was an artist's self-expression. As an artist myself and a creative, I understand the necessity to take the way we feel and do something with that. And that is what singer-songwriters and artists do with music. And then dancers, we interpret that. Athletes also interpret that into their form of self-expression. And I believe self-expression is critical. It's critical for the world. We need your self-expression. There's only one of you. You're your own superpower. If you don't shine your light, the world won't have it. So I find it incredibly important that we self-express from that standpoint and from a personal standpoint. I would internally combust if I could not move my body and take the energy that is created throughout a day or thrown on me throughout a day and somehow exercise it, get it out, express it. So music is a beautiful medium for that because it guides you, whether through the lyrics or the melody, harmony, whatever it might be. Or for me, it's like heavy drum and bass house beats, but whatever, right? Woo, woo. Whatever makes you move and can take over your body, take over your brain, and take that energy that I believe is toxic if we store it and release it as a form of expression for your mental, physical, and emotional health. Emotions are just energy in motion. So by moving your body, you're already doing that. Anyway.
You can tell you're a Peloton instructor because I'm fired up. Like, I'm ready to, like...
5, 6, 7, let's go. Yeah.
Frida, how are you noticing creators, especially those who work in the world of sports, utilizing music to build community on the platform?
Well, I think what I find interesting here is I think in many ways sport is uniquely positioned because it has got a global reach, but then you've got local fan bases. And this is both an opportunity but also a challenge. How do you connect with your audience globally whilst you have a really local fan base? So I think key here is to really understand who you are and what you want to stand for, having a consistency in your music and your sound. And you can see then how we try to sort of work really closely with our content creators to find out what is your sonic branding, who are you? So then regardless of who is creating content, you can really see a consistency throughout the sound of the music. That also supports and helps the fans and the local consumers because they understand, they recognize who you are, and that also strengthens your brand. So I think that's what I think is really, and that's I think also why sport is uniquely positioned to really drive local artists and make them global, which I think is really fantastic when you get to see. They have a real power here to do that.
We use Epidemic Sound at Peloton frequently, and I have discovered many incredible artists on your platform that I use frequently that I'm so grateful for. Because, as brands, oftentimes you run into copyright issues, music issues, and so Epidemic we're very grateful for you. Thank you for existing.
Julie, speaking of brands, how are you noticing their presence in sort of the resurgence of music videos, and how are brands taking advantage of the medium, which can really, again, build community, drive engagement, all the things that, brands are hoping to create?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely it's the perfect canvas for brands to tell their story. Artists are telling theirs, and in that moment, highly engaged fans, super leaned in audiences, really are the places where brands can tap in and be really impactful and purposeful with their message. And also, with our enormous footprint across CTV and extension into YouTube, digital, of course, there's a real opportunity there for brands to have real impact and be able to tell their stories in those unique moments.
Frida, I know we were talking about how music can really help define a brand. You saw when Ryan Lindor came out today to kick things off, he picked a Wu-Tang song, and if you know Ryan, that's very on brand. What is your walk-up song in life? And we'll go down the line.
Well, we actually have one of my favorite artists playing here this afternoon called Janset. So I'm going to choose her song, Don't Try It. You're going to get, if you're here between, I believe, 4 and 6, you're going to get to meet Janset and Oi performing for you. And yeah, that would be my walk-up song.
Okay. Jess, how about you?
This is the impossible question, and it would change every day. But today, I would say I Am Body Beautiful by Salt and Pepper.
Okay.
Nice.
Julie?
Yeah, I agree. It changes every day, and particularly in Cannes, I feel like I'm on a boat is one that I like. But if I had to go for the moment, it's
Great music video, by the way.
Yeah, it is. I know. But then I also really love Nicki Minaj, Pink Girl Fridays. That's probably been my new one for the moment.
You know, as fans of sport, and I know all of you connect to various sports in different ways, what are the sounds of your favorite games that you enjoy the most? I mentioned, and I will throughout the week, that I'm a big Knick fan. And when you hear that boom, boom, and it's an audio cue for defense, which was started in the Garden, that emotionally gets me going. What are the sounds of your favorite sports that you all connect to?
Well, I think I'm going to go way back being Swedish. So to me, when I really sort of discovered sport, it was my dad watching ice hockey. And Sweden is very much sort of the rock anthems that we were listening to as the teams got on the ice. So probably I remember very fondly Europe is the final countdown. I can't remember which cup or anything, but it's very Swedish anyway.
How about for you, Jess? When you think of some of your favorite sports, there are certain songs or sounds that you identify and connect with.
I identify with the applause.
And there we go. That was an audio cue that apparently nobody picked up on. It's all good. But that, the roar of the crowd is a real thing, and that's why we love going to sport. It's something you don't really get to experience when you're at home. Julie, for you, is there any sport that really you have a passion for that you connect with sound?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I'm actually a Giants fan, San Francisco Giants. But at the end of every Yankee game, when New York comes on, chills every time.
I went to University of Michigan the third and fourth quarter. Mr. Brightside, who's got it better than us? Nobody. So that's one for me these days. As you're out here at Cannes and you're exploring Sport Beach and connecting with folks who are here, how do you want sound to be positioned in the conversation beyond this 30-minute panel? Because we were talking, and oftentimes in production, it's almost an afterthought, and it's such a huge part of storytelling. So for all of you, how would you like to continue to see sound be talked about on the Sports Beach stage?
Well, I personally love watching sound with visuals. So everyone stop by the Vivo Cabana. You'll get to see amazing music videos on the side of our cabana, which is super powerful, iconic imagery that everyone will love. And I guess for me, as we were talking about this, I was just thinking about every single context of which music exists. And it really just sets the tone everywhere you are. If it's a loungy space, there's going to be a certain tone that's created through the music. If it's a Peloton ride, we're going to, go hard and energize, and you can actually probably fit whatever tone you want for that moment. And so I think that music is sort of the underlying theme of every context here.
Definitely. The way that I'm going to continue being in the sound of music and the sound of sport is to DJ right after this from 1 to 3. I'll be DJing at Belle Reve for a little opening party if you guys want to get a little two-step on.
Do you like requests when people in the crowd say, play a camera on something? No, you don't like that.
I mean, you can request a song. I'm not going to play it, but you can request it.
And Frida, obviously, you guys are hosting the cocktail hour, and we're going to hear some of the sounds of sport. But what else are you looking forward to through your time here at Sport Beach, and how does sound, continue to play a role in the conversation around brands, sports, and storytelling?
I'm just really looking forward to meeting people and hearing who they are and where they're going and where they want to get to, and then how they view music and sound to be part of that journey, to see if we can have some inspirational and exciting conversations. Because I think this is, I believe we can already see a massive transition where music and sound is seen more of something that can heighten something, is something that's actually immersive in the experience of the end consumer or fan. So I'm just really excited to speak to people and getting to know and what they're doing, where they're going with their brand, and how they're using music and sound today.
Look, we look forward to those of you here. We appreciate, I should say, those of you who are here in the audience giving us the sound of silence for the last 30 minutes, and we look forward to you experiencing the rest of the day. But let's give some noise and some energy to our panelists here, the Let's Get Loud panel at Sport Beach. Hope you'll stick around for the rest of the week. Thank you all so much for sharing your stories. Appreciate you.